Progress.
That was good.
It even sounded like her.
Did. That was
Wow.
very, very accurate. So we will call the Community Resource and Tourism Committee to order at 4:44 p.m. All right, and so we have Tom Quinn on phone. It looks like Monica is in the room, and Larry is outstanding in his field, and Jim Zavans is at an event. So we do have a quorum. So did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes from February 13th?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion or changes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So it was approved unanimously. Are there any public comments?
No, there are no public comments that I'm aware of.
Okay, so then we'll move on to 5A, which is the Area Extension Director Report. So Kristen, did you have a report for us?
Yeah, just a couple updates. We just went through the hiring process for the 0.4 4-H assistant position. And so we hired Ann Lee. She starts on March 25th. So it'll be about a 2 days a week supporting 4-H and other things in the office. So we're really excited to bring her on and welcome her to the team. We also, the community development position closes on March 17th. That position will have prelims on, I have March 19th, but that's not right. But closes on March 12th. Prelims, I don't know. Whenever it closes. And then prelims on the 19th, finals on the 26th. So if there's any committee members who want to, or any county based employees who want to be part of that hiring process or that final interview, let me know. I'll make sure to include them. So just shoot me an email. So we're hoping to have that position start probably more towards the end of April, maybe the beginning of May. So keep you updated on that. That's all I have, unless you have other questions.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Does anyone have any questions about the written extension reports? I had a couple questions, but I don't see Jerry on the call. Does anyone know how well attended the Lakes and Farm workshop went? It was like farmers and lake owners.
Was here, but I just saw people coming back. I don't know how many people were there.
I don't know either. I didn't see the exact number. It will likely be in his report next month. So
Okay. Because I was wondering, I mean, seems to be something that's important for our watershed. So I don't know if they're doing it again at the Red Cedar Watershed Conference.
yeah, I'm not sure. We'll get that information for you, Ann.
Okay, I was just curious because, yeah, it's important.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so if there aren't any more questions, then looks like Zach from 4-H is going to give us a presentation.
Yes. That's all I got. All right. So normally I try to be real organized with my presentations. This is kind of hodgepodge of just things I've been doing and updates and things like that. So there's really no organization to it, but we're just going to go through it. So let's see. I get the clicker to work. Psst. Okay, now it go. It's going now.
It did. There we
Oh,
go.
okay. All right. So to begin with, I passed out to the members who are here the Wisconsin State 4-H Impact Report. I can bring the extra copies next month as well for people who did not make it today. But it just kind of has some numbers statewide and some case studies and things like that about the impact of 4-H on the youth. And in there, I put a separate handout with some numbers from last year. So the impact report was for 2023. So I put some Dunn County numbers in there for last year as well. Those I talked about last time I presented, so I'm not going to go over them again. But if there's any questions, I can definitely talk about them in more detail. Otherwise, this is kind of where we are right now. This time of the year. So right now we have 229 members. And if you look at the below that number, it says up 8%. I'm guessing that means 8% from this time last year, as we're still less than what we ended up with last year. Last year we ended up with 277, but if this trend keeps going, we are on a good track to increase enrollment again this year. As you see, 38 first-year members, which is down a little bit from this time last year, but I do know of some new families who are looking to enroll, so we can get that up again. And 65 first-generation members, which is up from this time last year. All right, so when I started last year, I had to set a few goals for myself with the programming that I was doing. So I wanted to make sure that I continued the programming that has always been going on, things that people liked, some of the traditions in 4-H. There's some favorites that people asked me to bring back, so I worked on that a little bit. And then I wanted to introduce some new things to Dunn County. So I'll go through those in just a little more detail. But before I do that, I just want to talk real quick about what we call the Thrive model. Actually, I'd like to talk a long time about it because there's a lot I could go into, but I don't have a lot of time. Maybe one of my presentations, I can just talk about this in a little more detail. But basically in 4-H, as we know, it's all research-based. So the research shows that if you focus your programming on the bottom of the model there, that developmental context, which is sparks, belonging, relationships, and engagement, then all the good things going up the flower will happen. The youth will thrive, so they will have good social emotional learning, they'll have developmental outcomes, and they'll have positive longer term outcomes. So when I do programming and when my volunteers talk to me about programming, I try to make sure that they hit those one or two of those four parts of the developmental context. So real quick, what we've been doing last year and some things that will continue to happen. Some of the traditional things that we've been doing. We had speaking contest this last fall, Dunn County. That's one that we do area-wide with Eau Claire and Chippewa. Dunn County had good participation this year. We had about 20 people total. I think almost half of them were Dunn County participating. Performing Arts Fest, we just finished up. Not as much of a presence from Dunn County, but the group you see up there, they did a really good job. That's from Rock Falls. STEM Day was pretty small this year, but hopefully that's something we've been doing in the past, and hopefully we can get that going back up again. And camp, we're in the midst of getting camp enrollment again. Last year, I think we had 17 from Dunn County, which is more than we've had in the past. We're fortunate that our Leaders Council will pay for every Dunn County youth to go to camp. So that's really awesome that they get that opportunity here. And Art U is something that's been going on for the last few years. That just finished up. Again, we had one of the biggest years since this is the 4th or 5th year we've done it now. one of the biggest years with 54 total members. And I think, again, about half of those were from Dunn County. And that was open to 4-H members and non-4-H members, as well as kind of a one way to serve everyone from the county and the area, because there's an area program, but also a way to introduce people to the program and to 4-H. Some kind of old favorites that some of the leaders and members have been asking to bring back, we're working on. So Battle of the Clubs is coming back this year. Everyone really liked that. That's where clubs make teams and they come together and they do little like competitions and things like that to see who can win the Battle of the Clubs. Small Animal Project has always been around, but it just needed a little more life given to it. So I found some new leaders for that, and we have a pretty strong Small Animal Project. If you were at the fair last year, you noticed that the small animal barn was pretty small in terms of numbers. So we're working on getting those numbers back up. And I think slowly but surely it's not going to happen all in one year, but we'll get there again. And the Youth Activities Council is the older youth group for Dunn County. And that, again, it's always been around since before my time, but I took that over with Michelle, and we're kind of working on getting some more life into that and doing some activities with that as well. Some new things that I've introduced and hope to continue on. I did the summer project days last summer. I'm making plans to do that again this summer. So one day a week for about 5 weeks. Focus on a different project area in 4-H. Photography Club is a new club that started this year. Right now we have 16 people interested in it. So we'll be meeting again next week. Melissa helps to lead that along with my wife. I put countywide bonding because I really didn't know what else to call it, but just kind of fun events for the kind of get that engagement, that relationship built amongst the 4-Hers. So last year we went to the racetrack as a group. We had about 20 youth go to that, and we're going to do that again this year, and I'm working on some other events throughout the year. For example, I've talked to the Mabel. I was a little too late this last year to get in on one of the shows that they're doing last fall and winter, but hopefully this next year we can get in with a group rate and have everyone from the county kind of go and do that. And Clover U, that was new last year. That's another area-wide event that we're bringing back. That's a one-day project day where youth can, well, it's two sessions, or 2 session times, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and youth can pick what session they want to go to and explore some of the projects that they could take or some things that interest them. And then I've been doing a few things behind the scenes as well, actually quite a bit behind the scenes. It's been a pretty busy January and February for me, actually. So just a few things. I'm on a few state committees. The first one, the awards committee, actually finished up in December. I will say a lot of these committees I picked knowing what the county needs, what I've seen need from our county. The awards committee, however, they told me that they thought I do a good job on it, and I found out that that's my kryptonite. So if you want me to do something, just tell me you think I do a good job at it, and I'll probably do it for you. So that was looking at how can we, right? A compliment from Kristen, really. So that we're kind of looking at how we can streamline the awards process at the state level. Every county kind of does their awards a little bit different, and can the state kind of help out to make it easier for them? And thinking of some maybe statewide awards instead of just county awards. I'm still part of the member retention committee. So I've noticed in the fall we've had some families not re-enroll, and I wanted to make sure, we found out why they're not re-enrolling and how we can make sure we keep the members that we have. So I joined that committee, as well as the Quality Clubs Committee. I'm making sure, as I've been going to some of the club meetings, they're all great in their own way, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely some ways to make them more engaging and make sure they're kind of meeting some of the things that we look for, like leadership and education in these club meetings. And then the climate leadership team. So I joined that committee. That's actually a partnership from all the 6 institutes in Extension. When I heard about it, they didn't have anybody from the Youth Development Institute on it. So I thought with my background in conservation and working in outdoor ed and being in the Youth Development Institute, that'd be a good one for me to join. So that was maybe a little selfish on my part because it's one of my passions, but it's also something that's very important to be talking about, institute and extension wide. I've been doing a lot of trainings and professional development as well. A lot of camp trainings. We have 1-day resource days. Once a month, we'll have an hour-long camp meeting. Camp is really big, not just here, but throughout the state and the nation in 4-H, really. So it's something that we focus on quite a bit. I just got done with a 5-week volunteer development training. It's about 3 or 4 hours a week. That just finished up, so that was a pretty big carry for me. And then I did a couple sessions of a youth mental health training where it took youth voices and talked about, some things that they're going through and ways that we can help them. You didn't know I did that one, did you? So kind of continuing some things that I want to make sure we do again. Definitely some summer promotional booths. Looking forward. Colfax Fair, I haven't contacted them yet, but I know at the end of last summer, they were really happy with us and they wanted us back. We have our spot set up for Paint the Town. Of course, the Dunn County Fair, and it looks like they're going to be giving us a little bit bigger footprint for 4-H to spread out and have a little bit bigger booth there this year. Downsville Days, I plan to go down there as well. And then school visits. Want to make sure I get out to more schools and do some more promotion that way. And I put staffing updates right after that because the promotion, I feel, is like one of the things during the summer that I really need a lot of help with. I think I mentioned this last time that those booths it's a lot to do, a lot to set up, a lot of people coming through. It's just really busy time. So I really need help with that. I'm hoping to get volunteers and more clubs involved, but until I can get that buy-in from the clubs, more staff definitely helps. So Kristen said we have the 0.4 position coming on board. I do have the posting out for another summer intern. So if you guys know anybody that would want to be a 4-H intern, let me know. That's going to be open till the end of the month. Maybe longer if we don't find anybody. Then just finishing up. So off of that Thrive model, we give a survey to the youth who are 13 years old and older. And actually some of the state data is in the report. I'm not going to go into the survey too much right now. Again, it's a big thing to talk about. It's something I could probably spend a whole session talking about with the data that comes from it. But I did want to close with just some of the quotes that I got from it because I thought they were pretty impactful. So I'll read these off to you. So one said, I learned that you can make friends anywhere and you'll meet people you like and people you don't like, but you can work with them well anyways. So the question was, what did you learn from 4-H? I've learned how to give back to the community on many levels. I learned how to make freezer jam through 4-H at one of the summer classes. I was just kind of proud about that because I helped put that class on. So I'm glad someone got a little shout out for that one. 4-H taught me the meaning of leadership and how to be a good role model and have people counting on you. And I learned how to voice my opinions better and be a leader. All right, any questions? All right, well, thank you.
Does anyone have questions for Zach? How do you decide which programs to continue or ones that maybe you put aside and try something new?
Right now, I want to make sure I continue everything that we're doing. Like, for example, I talked about how the Performing Arts Festival, we didn't have a lot of Dunn County youth in that. But just because I'm still so new here, I don't want to be ending anything, even if just a few kids want to continue to do it. So right now, I'm just looking at everything that has traditionally has been done in the past. I want to make sure I continue. And that's also, ones like that too is also important because that's a partnership between the other two counties. So even though if I'm not supporting Dunn County Youth, I'm helping to support, the 4-H program as a whole. But looking at new programs, really what I hear from feedback from leaders and youth and some of the data that we have. So for example, when I did the summer project days last year, I looked at some of the most popular projects, and that's where I based those project days off. I talked my wife and Melissa into doing a photography club for us because we know that's one of the most popular projects in Dunn County. Actually, in a lot of the 4-H projects, that's one of the most popular ones. So that's kind of my process.
Are you gonna get them to submit their photographs to the fair? Hopefully.
Yeah, that is the goal. Yep, to get them to submit to the fair. We always talk about how the fair isn't like the only way to show what you've learned at 4-H, but it's definitely a good place for 4-H to be out there and 4-Hers to show some of the projects that they've done and the pictures they've taken.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for all the hard work. All right, so we'll move on to 6A, which is economic development update.
All right, this will be pretty brief. We still are in the process of hiring the Greater Dunn County Economic Development Director position. It's working its way through the UW Stout system. A job description's been finalized, a committee's been appointed, all kinds of things have happened, but so I think it's almost ready for the position advertisement or whatever, recruitment to go out. And the goal was April, but of course, goals are goals and sometimes they don't get met, but hopefully yet in April sometime we might be able to move forward with that. In the meantime, the Dunn County Economic Development Corporation has been working its way through revising some bylaws, kind of formalizing or reformalizing membership, making sure we have good representation across the spectrum of interested entities. I think that's about it.
Anyone have any questions for Chris? All right, so then we'll move on to Dunn County Communication.
All right, similarly, continues to move along. We're currently, I just think off the top of my head, I know we're in the midst of doing an article on transit in response, in part, at least in response to some of the misinformation or misperceptions about what finance or what transit did and how it was financed and why. I'm trying to think of what else Doug is working on, but we continue to meet together on a monthly basis to identify topics, and so far we haven't ran out of them. So, and then in addition, as I always remind you, if there's something that comes up mid-month, he's always willing to quickly get something out. I think did he do a broadband one for you fairly quickly?
He, not yet, but
Oh,
he's working
on
on
that.
it. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So, yeah, so it's a good project. I think that's all I know about that.
All right, any other questions?
I had one. So I was talking with somebody at an event who is interested in, what Dunn County is doing and following what we're doing, but doesn't want to go out and go to the Facebook page. She doesn't want to go out and get the things. And so she thought an email list that you could opt into would be really helpful. Do we have anything like that?
We don't. I mean, I think the closest, because she picks up so many of the articles, would be the Menominee Minute.
Mhm.
But no, we don't have
Okay.
anything like that.
All right.
And my brain, I'm a little slow in responding because my brain is sort of sorting through that about whether or not that would be effective or not effective. It's certainly, in order to keep it relevant and timely, it certainly would take some dedication of time and effort to do that. We're sorting through.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not necessarily throwing it out as a suggestion, so. Yep.
All right, so then 6C is broadband. You had your task force meeting.
Yep. Yep. So we have a task force meeting next Thursday. And we'll be hearing from our area providers at that meeting. But the biggest news and what that news release was about is the state has decided on the capital projects broadband grants. And we had 5 applications in Dunn County and 4 of them were accepted. So there was, can't remember the exact numbers, but I believe 170 some submissions and 30 some accepted, and 4 of them were in Dunn County. So we did pretty good. So pretty excited about that, and that's kind of a key cog that needed to get decided before the BEAD, the federal money, could start to get. We're still waiting on the NTIA, which is a federal agency, to approve the state's plan. But either way, one of the big things about that is eligibility is dependent on whether you had committed funding. So we didn't know if these areas had committed funding. Now we know they do. So anyway, that was kind of the big news. Very unexpected. I think we had ARPA funds tied up in that, and we were talking about how much we needed to allocate. And I think I said, well, we'd be happy to get one of them. We got 4. So yes, good news. And I think that's pretty much the rest of broadband.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I think it would be fairly easy to report back. I mean, I know this, I'm sure this is for your broadband work group as well, or committee as well, but the just the impact, because I think in all of their grant applications, they tell you what the reach is of how many more people will be added.
Yeah.
That might be a helpful piece.
Yeah.
Of data.
Yes. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but yes, it is. It is out there.
It'll serve this many new residents or new entities.
Yeah. Yep. So specifically, the grants that were approved cover the town of Grant, which was a big one that they were looking to get covered. Half of the town of Lucas, which actually completes the town of Lucas. And then there was a smaller one in the town of Colfax, and the village of Knapp were the ones that were awarded this time. So still a little small section of Colfax that didn't get granted, but we'll see how the next set of grants go.
Does anyone have any questions?
It's great news. Great news.
That is, and I'm a map person, so if there's, are they updating maps so that we can see what's left that's uncovered?
I'm gonna work on a map that kind of covers that. A lot of it had to do, a lot of the maps that we have right now shows all of the submissions, so it's hard to distinguish between granted and applied. But we will be working on that, and there is a great map of the state of Wisconsin that shows where things are covered and what's covered by a or essentially as committed funding so that you can identify those areas that haven't. But one of the things that we will be talking about in a broadband meeting is there's a lot of areas like, say, the town of Grant, town of Tiffany, town of New Haven, they've been awarded a grant. And I know that, and the telco knows that, but the people that live there probably don't know that. So as we look at them getting internet, we kind of just, from a planning standpoint, we assume they already have it, right? Everything is kind of in place for them to do that, but we need to look at how do we get some of that information out to people so that they know, hey, there's a grant, this is going to start happening. They're going to put a shovel to the ground here in the next month. You should expect to hear from provider A and pay them $100 in the next couple of months. So how do we get that information out is kind of, I think, the next area that we're looking at doing.
Well, way to go, and hopefully the BEAD grants will finish it off, right? Somewhere down the line. So 60 is Dunn County Tourism. Jim usually talks about the website, but I think it's up and running. So spread the word. I don't know if that's been something that's been put out on social media or whatever to go there and put events up.
I can check.
Okay. Yeah.
It has gone out in the past, but it probably could use another nudge.
Right. So we don't have any action items, and so the next meeting is Tuesday, April 9th. Is there any other announcements? All right, then I think we can adjourn and enjoy the 69-degree weather. So, all right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ann.